Hello everyone, it's me again. I'm going to make a video today about an interesting topic. In my humble opinion, about profanity in a foreign language. Um, the acquisition of profane words in a foreign language. Should we actually learn profanity in a language, or should we not learn profanity in a foreign language? I am going to give my opinion about that and kind of discuss profanity in foreign languages. And yeah, I had a debate with somebody about this last week or a few weeks ago, and the argument didn't get the argument didn't get heated, but it was interesting, the argument, and I'm going to present my side. The other man, he said that it was totally useless to know and understand profanity in a language, and I disagreed with him wholeheartedly. And yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. I have my notes here as I always do, because I tend to forget things and I don't want to miss anything important. So yeah, so we'll get started. I think this video is going to be pretty fun, pretty interesting, maybe a little funny for some of you. Yeah, so oh yeah, by the way, I'm probably going to title this video kind of profanity, and but I'm not going to curse up a storm here. I'm not going to speak like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas or Casino, or like I don't know, Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction or most of his movies. Even though I love those actors, I love those movies, and yeah, but I guess I guess I guess I could just think of why I like those movies. The expression in those movies are very colorful, and I think that profanity is really interesting. That it's very colorful in a language, and it's one of the most interesting ways of expression um, in spoken language. And I think that one thing that's interesting about profanity, among other parts of the language, is that it offers insight to the culture um, of a group of people who speak that language. Perhaps in terms of the language, I'm learning the main language I'm learning right now. Like, I'm a beginner in French right now, so I'll use that language. Um, I could study France. I could study the people without ever learning French. But I think that learning French expressions, French idiomatic expressions, and profanity, die Vertaalsprache in French, is interesting, and it would make me understand the culture better than had I not uh, decided to learn French. Um, I think I'll be accepted more if I know colorful ways of expression than if my French were limited like it is now. My French is very limited right now. Um, that is to say, I am interested in learning profanity of the language. However, it is not all I learn in French. I'm not sitting down here learning how to say whatever word, fill in the blank in French. But it is interesting. Um, the vulgar words. It's just colorful. Um, and I think also it's interesting to me that a lot of people know profanity in other languages, but they don't really know the language. So it's interesting. The first words that, or it could be the only words that some people know in a foreign language, whereas maybe it might even incite someone to start learning a foreign language. It might be, an expression might be the first thing that someone learns in a foreign language. Actually, for me, in French, I went to, I guess I will use a vulgar, kind of somewhat vulgar expression, because it's one of the first things I learned. And when I was in France, I mentioned that I had a problem in France with someone who kind of chewed me out, and in I think Spanish because I didn't know French, and I could have said one of the two things that I knew in French, and one of the things I knew in French at that time was je t'aime, and if I said to the guy I love you, he's telling me I'm stupid for not knowing French. If I come out with I love you, then he's gonna look at me like I'm crazy or something. Um, and but if I say the other word, then or the other expression, tu me casses les couilles, in French, then you know it, and in English that is you're breaking my balls, which God, I feel so bad saying that. Um, it reminds me of Goodfellas. You're busting my balls here, bro. Uh, um, all right, I'm losing my train of thought, but it made me I learned that expression when these French girls from Paris were talking, and I asked them, what does that word mean, or what does that expression mean, and they said it, and it just got me interested. Um, French is such a beautiful language, but you have these colorful expressions. You can compare the expressions, the idioms, the profanity, everything to your own language, or I can compare that to German or English. It's interesting to me. Um, and what else? Why limit yourself to that? Um, if you can do it in your own language, then why not in a different language? Why? I mean, you know it in your native tongue, so why not at least understand it in a different tongue, a different language? Not necessarily use it. I mean, if you have to, then yeah, okay, then you'll be able to express yourself as you can in your native tongue if you work hard enough. Um, I think I don't think that we should limit ourselves in any way or form. If we know something in English, then why not in a different language? If you're learning Chinese, it might be a little harder because maybe um, they're more adverse to teaching foreigners bad things in Chinese, Mandarin or Cantonese out of respect. Um, I mean, it's still interesting. I mean, you can still do it just to be ready in case. Um, that's another thing I wrote down, just to be prepared for real life situations. I guess I'll start out small. I think one good way of improving your abilities in a foreign language is to, okay, I guess start out by reading. If you want to read a book, start out low. Maybe for a book for kids, you're not gonna learn bad things there, but you get up higher in the language and you find some interesting stuff, then then you kind of stumble upon it passively, which is okay. I think that we shouldn't really actively. I mean, maybe if you want to actively learn it, expressions, then go right ahead. Passively is good so that you learn these expressions in the context. In my opinion, again. Um, Also, speaking is really good. Listening is good. Um, so if you're, for example, speaking to someone, I guess, in a casual conversation, and that person may be complaining about someone who he or she works with, and colorful expressions might be exchanged during this conversation. Oh man, this person I work with is such a. Oh man, I want to, this person is such a, like in a different language, and I think it's good to learn that way, so that you're more prepared for the future, so you can tack that onto your usage in a language, so you can tack it onto your passive or active vocabulary, so that you can understand it at a later time. Otherwise, um, if someone's talking, or okay, if you're also listening to two or more native speakers having a conversation, whether it be writing or speaking, etc. then they're gonna talk to each other in a more natural way. They might not dumb the language down because they're all native speakers. Um, so they might tend to use more colloquial expressions, more colorful words, and you can learn that so that you're ready for the future. So because you never know um, what you might come across in the future. I mean, say like if I, for example, if I got a job, like I'm looking for a job in Europe in general. If I land a job in France, then I would, I would have trouble getting around. Maybe I'd get into a tight situation in which someone would curse me out or something. Um, I maybe from the tone of someone's voice, because a lot of language is not spoken; it's kind of expressed through gestures and the the tone of voice, etc. I would know that the person would be mad at me, but I think it would be more awkward or it would be scarier if I didn't understand what that person was saying. So I would want to feel, am I in a dangerous situation right now, or am I safe, or is this person joking around? The person can joke around also, and using words like that. I don't want to turn the conversation, a good or bad conversation, into what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that word? What do you mean by this word? So I think it's, and a lot of storytelling has colorful expressions, idioms like that, and you just commit them to memory. Slowly but surely, and not. I guess we learn our second language in a different way that we learned our first. We have to acquire it slowly and be patient with the language. I'm kind of impatient with the languages that I'm learning, but which actually led me to purchase this book right here. I mentioned this book before in the video "How I Am Learning German" video. This is probably one of many books in this category, the Dictionary of German Slang and Colloquial Expressions. More than 4,000 words and their popular meanings that you won't find in standard German to English dictionaries. Um, and I flipped through this. If anyone wants to learn stuff like this in a foreign language, I personally would advise against it. I would advise you to hmm, I would advise you to just kind of learn it in the context, because I'm positive that a lot of words in books such as these, such as this, are not used in real society. Um, that's another interesting topic. Like why isn't slang really taught? Slang or profanity taught in um, in uh, in books and self-teaching books such as Assimil, Teach Yourself, Rosetta Stone, etc. I think it's really good to be respectful in a language. I think that's one reason why they don't really do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I know they don't teach. I know that Assimil, I learned Zut in Assimil, and which was cool. But Rosetta Stone, I'd never learned anything like that. Um, it's good to be respectful in a language, but it's also good to be ready. At the same time, I think books like this, they can be outdated, very outdated, very uh, if someone's learning English, for example, and they purchase a book, English Slang, and they bought that book, and the book is from 1990, and they're using words, they come up and talk to me and they say, uh, Marcus, how are you? That party last night, it was so radical. That was so funny. It was tubular, man. It was so cool. And I was like, where did you learn that? Where did you learn those words from? Um, it would be interesting, but the words, no one really says radical or tubular, unless they're being sarcastic about something. Um, as used and as outdated, um, as there are words that are outdated, I still believe that every word in a language is a word, is a treasure to which should be coveted. Um, Good or bad, there are bad words, slang, profanity, and the like in a language. Um, but are there really bad? Is it bad to know bad words in the language? I think that it is good to that it's good to know any word in a language. Bad words, good words. Words that aren't used anymore. Um, Words that are kind of old and archaic. Words. I love learning those. In German especially. I haven't gotten to them yet in French. I will, hopefully soon. Just to get really deep in the language, and that's one part. You know, I guess profanity and slang is just one part of a language, and it makes everything flow more fluidly. It contributes to the process of becoming more fluent in a language, in my opinion. Um, I guess I'm not gonna. Profanity and slang is more really what I'm talking about. Um, I don't want to. I personally don't want to be lost when someone's speaking in slang. It's really interesting. I want to be able to kind of roll with the punches and be able to respond to that. To be able to defend myself in the language. Like yeah, I understand what you're saying, but don't talk to me like that. Or um, yeah, I don't want to go to a country and be kind of robotic in a language. I want to kind of flow in a language and starting to dance in this video now. What am I doing? Um, I just want it's just important. It helps with language flow, and it's important to know that I guess profanity and slang is always changing. The languages are always changing, um, and it's good to I guess keep up to date with that. And in order to do that, I think reading's good. Listening to podcasts um, and is really good. Speaking to people of all ages is good. Um, you kind of hit the language from different aspects. If I have a conversation with someone who's 70 years old, he's not gonna look at me and say, what's going on, dude. And there's words that I don't even know in English. Slang words. I guess I'll teach everyone one word, and native English speakers let me know if you know this word. The word is maybe it's just in my terrible city of St. Louis, Missouri, but the word is to get sloshed. I learned this maybe a month or two ago, um, and in the context, oh man, I'm gonna go out with my boys. I'm gonna get sloshed tonight. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have a great time, and yeah, it's slang. I'm not gonna use that, but I think it's just good to know so that you know what it means, so that you're not lost in the context of what people are. Just not to get lost. It helps. Not to be so dry in a language. Just to I think that when you learn slang and you kind of produce it, and maybe a little profanity as well, that okay, the guy kind of speaks like one of us, and okay, well, I think that people who deal with those different aspects of the language are more included in maybe a culture or the language, more than having maybe a superficial knowledge of the language. But any knowledge in the language is good. Any knowledge, as long as we're all trying to improve ourselves in terms of our languages. So this is officially the longest video I've ever made. So I will stop rambling before I hit the 20 minutes. I think I'm only limited to 20 minutes for now. So thanks for watching. Comments are appreciated, and I will see you soon. I'll make a French video soon. No slang though. Ciao.